What is up, you guys? Taylor checking in for a late night session as we recap episode 2 of The Ultimate Fighter season 31. I just finished up the episode right now. Was very pleased with it. Another exciting fight to end the show, but also the show was pretty entertaining from start to finish. Now, you guys know we were supposed to be seeing some more of a leave taking on Trevor Wells, but unfortunately, Trevor Wells, he was up to no good before he went on the show, having a little bit of the old hurt breakout there, trying to blame it on the stress of the weight cut and whatnot. But we know that Trevor Wells is just a dirty dog and was, doing some stuff there that maybe he should have, maybe he shouldn't have. Who am I to judge? But nevertheless, hopefully that fight is going to be happening here very soon, because I am excited to see that matchup there. Trevor Wells coming in with a lot of confidence. Timur Valiev, you guys know I picked him to win the bantamweight bracket, so I'm excited about that fight. But on this episode, we got to see Cody Gibson take on Mando Gutierrez. These are two fighters that I was very excited to see square off as well. Cody Gibson, I believe he had 3 fights in the UFC already, fought a very closely fought match against the current champions, Aljamain Sterling. And just he's a tough dude. We know that Cody Gibson, since being released from the UFC, he's still been hanging around, taking out some legitimate dudes outside of the UFC. He's a real battle-tested guy, has that wrestling background. Mando Gutierrez, a fighter that a lot of people felt has a lot of promise. He did lose on Dana White's Contender Series to the young kid there, the young teenager, but he bounced back with another big victory. He's a well-rounded fighter. And we'll get to that fight here in a second, but we'll talk about some other things that took place throughout the show before we dive into that fight there, the recap of that fight. Other than that, we definitely got to talk about Roosevelt Roberts, having some beef with one of the young bucks. I'll call Team McGregor's guys the young bucks, the young and up-and-comers. I know they're all not necessarily young, but you guys catch my drift, right? We got the veterans taking on the young bucks. Makes it easy for me to just kind of refer to them like that. But Landon Quinones and Roosevelt Roberts, out of nowhere, Roosevelt Roberts, man, just sitting there eating his peas and gravy at the bar there. And Landon Quinones is definitely a guy that likes to chirp, likes to talk. There's nothing wrong with that. You're in a house full of guys. You guys are all training. You got to keep your guys keep the crew and everybody entertained. So I have no problem with the personality of Landon. Actually, I think he seems to be a cool dude. And Roosevelt Roberts is just a no nonsense type of guy. You could tell. It seems like he has just a heavy heart from his childhood or whatnot, but he seems to be the type of guy that's carrying some trauma with him from his childhood. Man, he's a guy that wants to inflict damage on other people. He's kind of soaked up in his sorrow. He doesn't seem like a guy that's really a happy-go-lucky type of guy, where that's probably why he doesn't like a guy like Landon. Landon's a guy that seems to just be happy and a guy that's enjoying his life there. And again, I'm not picking a side or whatnot. I'm just kind of calling it as I see it, because I actually like Roosevelt Roberts. I think he's a cool dude as well. So check this out, though. So as I look at the bracket, it seems that if Roosevelt Roberts and Landon Quinones were to face off, they would actually be facing off in the finale of the lightweight bracket there, as Roosevelt Roberts is on the other side of things, right? If Roosevelt Roberts is going to be taking on the winner of Lee Hammond and Kurt Hollabaugh, okay? And so he'll take on the winner of those guys there, and then he'll be fighting. If he wins that, he'll be fighting in the finale where Landon Quinones has to take out Jason Knight. And then if he wins that fight, he'll be taking on the winner of Aaron McKenzie and Austin Hubert. So that would be a very exciting finale if you ask me. And after what I just saw in today's episode, I'm definitely hoping that that's the case. I would love to see an exciting fight like that. There's some guys I want to root for. You guys know I like Jason Knight. I like Kurt Hollabaugh, but I think that's a fight that would make to be a real exciting finale. So you guys keep an eye on that. Other than that, before we dive real quick into the fight, a little bit of pre-talk from Mando Gutierrez's side and Cody Gibson's side. We'll start off with Mando. Mando seems to be a really cool dude. He cuts hair and whatnot. Seems to be a real humble guy. He was cutting Conor McGregor's hair on the show. I thought that was cool. And it was really nice to see Conor McGregor really just showing love and hanging out with the boys there and just, catching up with all the team and whatnot, spreading love, sharing knowledge, sharing a lot of knowledge, not just, about how to fight in the cage, but as far as the mental game goes, and I thought that was cool and interesting. And Mando Gutierrez definitely was a huge fan of Conor McGregor's going into the show. So, I mean, he's living the dream, right? I mean, imagine if you were able to be brushing shoulders with one of your favorite fighters and just be learning from him and just be kicking it with him, cutting his hair, even though Conor McGregor's moving his head left and right like a madman. Everybody thinks the dude's doing blow and whatnot. I mean, I think he's just a really wiry type of dude, man. He really is. Conor McGregor cannot sit still, even when he's getting a haircut. I mean, I've never seen anybody do that in my life, just turning their head left and right, not even worried about getting his hair messed up. And it's like he knew that Mando better have came correct with the cut regardless, and he wasn't worried about that, and Mando still pulled it off. So I thought that was all cool. I like the backstory of Mando. I believe he's from El Jalisco. Maybe I made that up. El Jalisco, Mexico. I believe his family's from there, and that's one of the main places tequila is made. Might have just made that all up, but I think that also could possibly be true. And he has his brothers that also train MMA, and just he's a cool dude. So Cody Gibson, on the other hand, talked about his family, how he was adopted, and then he eventually had a brother. His parents were actually finally able to have a kid or kids all of a sudden after they couldn't for so many years. I thought it was pretty touching, man, the story that happened to his brother as far as the umbilical cord being wrapped around his brother's neck. And it's a sad story. It caused some permanent damage to his brother. When I was born, I had the umbilical cord wrapped around my neck, which is why maybe I'm a little crazy. But on a serious note, luckily for me, the doctors were able to, have me come out and just take that off my neck, which it actually is more of a common occurrence than some people know. But that wasn't the case for his brother. So I thought that was really sad. Kind of made me grateful when I thought about the fact that I didn't have any issues from that. And I'm sure a lot of you guys listening, that's probably happened to some of you guys out there too. So just a story you could kind of be touched by a little bit there. And Cody Gibson, a solid dude, married his fellow college classmate who was on the basketball team and whatnot. Cody's a solid dude. So they go into this fight. You could tell right from the jump that Cody Gibson was the dog out there, and he was the one pressing, and he was going out there to snatch this W up. I mean, when I'm watching the fight, if I'm letting you guys know, I was kind of pulling for Mando. I was going to call him Lando, but Mando. I was pulling for Mando just based on the fact that he seemed to be such a cool dude, and kind of rooting for Team McGregor there to get a W. But I knew right from the jump that Cody Gibson was on his horse and was just pressing, and I had a feeling he was going to take this fight over. I knew that he had the wrestling background too. You saw the size advantage there. Mando Gutierrez is probably going to want to try to fight in the flyweight division in the UFC, if you ask me. I mean, he seems to be undersized. And then, as they're mixing it up, Mando's on the back foot. Like Conor McGregor said, he's not really pressing like they game planned for. I think it's because he felt what Cody was bringing to the table. And then Cody Gibson lands a nasty flying knee, follows him down there. And if any of you guys have been hit by a solid shot before, and I'm not even talking about that solid of a shot, because I've never been hit like that in my life, but I've been cracked before. I've been cracked in my nose. If you guys ever been cracked in the nose, you know how that is. Your eyes shut, you can't open them. The blood starts to drip, you feel it. And, it's a tough feeling if you just kind of want to have some insight of what's going on in Mando's head. If you guys have ever been there, if you haven't been there, I'm telling you, it's just a weird reaction. And I could only imagine what he felt like, because if you saw him after the fight, his eye was completely shut. And, hopefully there was no type of fractures going on in his face there. But I could only imagine being hit by a shot like that. You're going to shell up, man. Some of you guys might think, oh, roll out of that, get back up. Dude, when you get hit by a shot like that, it's not necessarily a choice. That was a legit shot, and I don't hold that against Mando there. So he gets finished, and Mando loses. And now Cody Gibson will be taking on the winner of Trevor Wells and Timur Valiev. So we're excited to see that. And I think that Cody Gibson, the Renegade there, I think he's shown to be a legit threat to run through this bracket. But there's so many solid names here, man. We still got Brad Katona, Hunter Azure, Timur Valiev, and even the Young Bucks too. Some of them look pretty promising. So I'm excited to see how this bracket continues to go. But another solid episode. You guys comment below. Let me know what you guys thought about this episode. I'm excited that I got you guys watching this season with me here. I've been watching every season from way back in the day, so it's kind of cool. Now I got this platform, and I'm going to be recapping every episode. I want to know what your guys' thoughts were on this episode here. I thought it was another good one, and I'm excited to see how this season progresses. All right, guys, we got a big fight card taking place this weekend, UFC 289. Excited for that as well. You guys enjoy the rest of your week here leading up to the weekend, and I'm sure we'll be chatting it up soon. Signing out, Teller.
Welcome to the show. This is the MMA fortune teller. Yeah.
The MMA fortune teller.
The teller.